Good afternoon, everybody. Absolute pleasure to be here and to witness what evidently is a change in the conversation that we've been having about built development and the natural environment going back for quite a few decades. And as Evan said, I've been involved with this for quite a few years, and so am sensing a change of perspective, and the conversation today, I think, is beginning to pick up on it. And that change of perspective is the shift from either or, do we have nature or do we have built development, to a position where we're now examining in a much more serious way how we do both and. How we're going to have both built development, new housing, new infrastructure, at the same time as recovering nature. And that recovering nature phrase is very important, because what we've been doing for a very long time is conservation. And conservation is about preventing harm to a particular species or a particular rare habitat, and that is where the clash has often occurred, because we find a newt, or we find a rare bat, or we're close to the habitat of a rare bird, therefore the houses can't be built. That mindset now needs to be replaced with an additional thought, which is about how we do recovery, rather than preventing harm to the remnants of nature that remains, because the amount of nature we've got left is not enough, not to meet all of the needs of the human world, never mind the needs of the natural world. So we have to rebuild the health of the natural environment. And that's going to require us to start thinking bigger and to start thinking about landscapes rather than individual newts or individual pieces of woodland or grassland. And it's going to require us to be planning in a much more integrated way in order that we can see the synergies, never mind the conflicts, to see the synergies at the early stage of project and development conception. Because the opportunities here are huge, because not only can we take steps to conserve the natural environment in a much more effective way than we're doing now and to achieve its recovery, we can also make beautiful places for people to live and to bring up their families, which will improve their health and well-being and their overall sense of place and the wish of them to be in those places. They actually want to live there because it's a beautiful, lovely place, and it helps them to thrive. At the same time as those two headings of health and nature, we see the beginnings now of some really quite dramatic changes taking place in basic conditions. The Earth's climate is shifting, and we've had little glimpses. Extreme flood events, extreme heat events, just two of the changes underway. If we build green infrastructure in intelligent ways that we blend in and make part of the new housing developments and infrastructure that we'll build for the future, then we can achieve resilience and we can reduce damage and costs and disruption through putting those sustainable drainage systems in, the vegetation that can reduce the urban heat island effect, and to be getting multiple benefits, therefore, through the design of green infrastructure that's going to do all of these things. This sounds quite big and it sounds quite bold. The great thing about it is that we're already doing quite a bit of this, and we've been doing it at Natural England now for a few years. One example that I really like is the Thames Basin Heaths around the southwest side of London, between Berkshire to Surrey and Hampshire. Internationally important habitats with internationally important populations of various birds, including nightjar, woodlark, and Dartford warbler. Birds that are very sensitive to disturbance. If you go in with Labradors and Spaniels running about, it's a problem for them, which is why 20 years ago there was some hesitation from us at Natural England about building many thousands of houses next to those heathlands because of that disturbance threat. What we did was to work with the planners and the developers to invent a new approach, which involves the provision of sustainable alternative natural green space. Really nice places with trees, with ponds, with some nice wildlife, but just not that internationally important stuff for people to use, to take their dogs and to have lovely times outside, picnicking, cycling, walking. And we built 50 of those SANGs, Sustainable Alternative Natural Green Spaces, in order to accommodate tens of thousands of new houses. Those houses have now largely been built, and the population of woodlark, nightjar, and Dartford warbler have increased. The population of the birds has gone up at the same time as the houses have been put there. Nature recovery and housing together, and there are many other examples we could point to. We just launched a new strategy at Natural England last week. We've called it Recovering Nature for Growth, Health and Security. And it's those kinds of examples that are inspiring us to see a world of huge possibility coming towards us if only we can integrate rather than see this as a choice. Nature and built development together, we can do it. That's what we're going to do. And we're very much looking forward to working with all of you in realising that goal. Thank you.